Ted Cruz is with us now. Senator, great to see you tonight. And your thoughts on what is, except for Juan, being described by everybody out here as a Republican wave tonight.
Now, tonight has been a fantastic election. The American people have spoken resoundingly clearly and said that they are not happy with the direction the country is going. They're not happy with the Obama stagnation and malaise, and as a result, they've risen up and retired Harry Reid as majority leader.
Senator, one of the messages that may be in this, and it's Brett Baer, by the way, welcome, could be that America wants to see Washington work, get stuff done. Some of those people said compromise would be a good thing. What's your thought on that sometimes evil word in Washington, compromise?
Well, Brett, look, I think it is exactly right that now that we have won the election, it is incumbent on Republicans to stand up and lead. It is incumbent on us to deliver with a bold, positive, optimistic agenda focused on jobs and economic growth and opportunity, focused on defending our constitutional rights. You know, the fact that the people rose up and voted the Democrats out of power doesn't necessarily mean they trust the Republicans. They've given us another chance. But we've got to earn that trust. And the way to earn that trust is to listen to the priorities of the people. And I hope come January, Republicans stand united. We stand as one. And we systematically, one after the other, vote on positive pro-growth ideas. We vote on tax reform. We vote on regulatory reform. We vote on embracing the American energy renaissance. We vote on going after and stopping Obamacare. We deliver on the promises that Republicans campaigned on all over the country.
Two things. One, will you vote for Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell?
Well, that'll be a decision for the conference next week. I'm not aware of anyone who's running against him. So my focus tonight is on the tremendous victory Republicans have won, the majority that we have, and now the obligation we have to lead with that majority.
And two, you bring up Obamacare, but again, you have a Democratic president. It's his name on the legislation. I mean, he's not going to not veto it.
Right. It is, Brett, but, you know, the two issues that dominated campaigns this cycle, if you look at what Senate candidates ran on all over the country, the number one issue was stopping Obamacare, and the number two issue was stopping President Obama's amnesty. If Republicans are going to keep the trust of the people who elected us, we need to deliver on those promises. So with Obamacare, I think we should start by using reconciliation to pass complete and total repeal. Now, you're right. The president will in all likelihood veto that. If that happens, we should then systematically repeal the most onerous parts of Obamacare. We should pass legislation saying you can't have your health insurance canceled because of Obamacare. You can't lose your doctor because of Obamacare. We should pass legislation saying you can't be forced into part-time work like so many people, especially single moms, have been. We should pass legislation saying no bailouts for insurance companies under Obamacare, and force the president to face those single rifle-shot repeals and decide whether he's going to listen to the American people or just remain an absolute partisan. And, you know, if he vetoes those bills, I think there's a real chance we might be able to get the votes to override those vetoes.
Senator, we have seen some hearings in the House controlled by the GOP looking into what they believe is President Obama's lawlessness. We haven't seen that in the Senate when it's been controlled by the Democrats. This has been an issue that you've raised repeatedly. Do you expect we're going to see hearings looking into what you've described as the president's lawlessness now that the GOP controls the Senate?
Absolutely, Megan. I think that is one of the biggest differences we're going to see with a Republican majority is finally meaningful oversight of the Obama administration from the U.S. Senate. For 6 years, Harry Reid has been President Obama's most important protector, and he shut down the Senate. There's been essentially no oversight. I hope we begin serious, careful, systematic, sober hearings examining executive abuse, regulatory abuse, lawlessness, abuse of power, whether it is the IRS wrongfully targeting citizens, whether it is the debacle of Benghazi and 4 Americans who lost their lives and why more was not done to save them, or whether it is the lawlessness that has pervaded Obamacare as the president and the executive branch has tried to pick and choose which laws to follow. I hope we see serious Senate oversight on all of those fronts.
And to those who say that will hurt the Republican brand because, you know, the American people just want to see you get something done. They don't want to see you tied up having hearings about this and about that, and that will hurt the chances of the GOP candidate in 2016. You say what?
You know, I've spent the last 2 months traveling all over the country, Megan, campaigning for Senate candidates. In the last 2 months, I have been in Alaska, in Georgia, in Kansas, in Colorado, in Iowa, in New Hampshire, in Michigan, in North Carolina, in South Carolina, and I haven't heard that sentiment expressed from anyone. The sentiment people are expressing is, number one, they want jobs and economic growth and opportunity, and number two, they are dismayed by an administration that is targeting our constitutional rights.
Senator, before we let you go,
they want leaders in the Senate to stand up and defend the Constitution.
Thank you for your time. Before we let you go, when do you make your decision whether you're running for president?
Well, you know, I think tonight is all about retaking the majority. My guess is the presidential field will form next year, sometime between January and June.
So that's when your decision comes.
Well, I think the whole field will likely form at that point. And what is critical now is that Republicans focus on coming together and leading and actually honoring the commitments and the trust that the people have placed in us.
Senator Cruz, thank you very much for your time.
It's always great to be with you.
Got another race call to make for you tonight.